Living on the side of a volcano can be pretty rocky. And around here where we live, it's all rock. There is barely any soil. So how do you plant a tree in that? Well, today I'm going to show you exactly how to do it without any digging. Aloha everybody, this is Sean with Homestead in Hawaii. Today we're going to be going over how to plant a tree. I'm going to be putting these trees in as part of a larger food forest system that I'm installing over at my mom's house. And if you haven't had the chance to check that out, I just did a step-by-step video on how to create a food forest of your own. I'm sure the link is popping up right there as we speak, so be sure to check that out. But today we're going to get into the nitty-gritty on how to plant a tree in rocky ground. We will be building up our soil to plant our tree instead of digging down. Before we get into that, I want to show you two different trees here. I have this ulu tree that I did an air layer from over at my place, and it is in a 5-gallon bucket. And then I have this avocado tree, which is in a 1-gallon pot. And you can see the difference here in the pot size. For one, it's going to take a lot more material to get this ulu tree planted than this avocado tree. And two, the roots are small in the avocado tree and they are ready to just go and explore. Whereas the ulu tree, the roots are a little larger and they are going to take a little time inside their little pot before they expand out. And it's going to take a little more work for those roots to get into the ground because they're so much fatter. But these fine roots will be able to dig right in and be able to find their way. And that's one reason why, if we're planting trees out here, I would prefer to go with a 1-gallon pot over a 5-gallon pot because it's just way easier and they get a better start. So the typical way to plant a tree is usually to dig a hole, sprinkle some amendments inside like bone meal or mycorrhizae fungi. Carefully take your tree out of the pot and place it in the hole and then backfill it with some native soil and then maybe put some mulch on top. But that is almost impossible here. We cannot dig into the ground easily. So we got to come up with a different plan. And I've gone over before how I've observed how plants out here tend to be shallow rooted and spread their roots along the surface as more opposed to digging down into the rocks. So what we're going to do is we're going to recreate a shallow tropical soil for our trees to be able to dig their way through. And this will allow us to have a place for us to put the potted plants into, and then for the trees to have a rich, fertile area for them to spread their roots around in. Now, before we get into the actual planting process, why don't you go ahead and plant your finger on the like button? So instead of digging to plant a tree, we are going to do a glorified sheet mulch method. So we're going to start by laying down a sheet of cardboard, and then we're going to throw on top whatever we got. We got some soil lying around, some mulch, some manure. Let's get all that, pile it high on top of the cardboard. And then we're going to plant directly into that. All right, now we have our mulch pile built up. We got cardboard down, we have our mulch. This pile here is mixed in with a little bit of manure and some soil, but it's just aged, decomposed mulch from the county dump. And we are going to just plant directly into it. The process is really simple. So let me just show you what you do. You're going to start by digging a hole in the mulch, back down to your cardboard layer. Now, you could poke a hole in the cardboard, or you can just let it poke a hole itself. So now that you have your hole, you can go ahead and sprinkle some amendments in. You could sprinkle bone meal or mycorrhizal fungi. Two really great amendments to add into your soil. The bone meal helps encourage root development. It provides phosphorus in soils that are depleted of phosphorus, which we tend to have here. And the mycorrhizal fungi just help boost the natural fungi and the unseen elements in the soil. They really just help give a boost to all of that. So we're gonna add those amendments and then we're gonna plant our tree. So you can size up your hole with your plant. And you can see that this breadfruit tree is pretty big. Luckily, it's not filled to the top here. It's a little low in the pot. If you end up having a plant this big, just add more material when you're done if you don't have enough mulch here.
To plant the tree, just gently take it out of the pot, carefully place it into the hole, and then go ahead and backfill that hole up.
You can see here, the red indicates where the soil line was before we planted. So what you want to do is try and get right back up to that level. You don't want to go higher or else you can create rotting. And then when you're there, just make sure the tree is well situated. And then from here, the tree is ready to go. It was really that simple. No need to dig down into this hard rock. All you need is just some extra material, which isn't always the easiest thing around here either, but it's easier than digging into that rock. So I planted this ulu just like the ulu we planted a second ago. This guy was a root sucker from an ulu tree that I had next door. I pretty much yanked it out of the ground, threw it in a pot for a couple weeks, and then brought it over here. It looked like it was gonna die for a little while. We added mulch and some manure, and now this baby is coming back strong. You'll be amazed at how resilient plants can actually be. And you don't need to do as much as you think you need to do to get them actually planted. I gotta show you how much easier it is to plant one of these. A smaller pot is way easier to get into the ground. Same thing, just move away the mulch. Get as far deep as you need to. You can check by putting your pot into the ground. And then lightly get it out of the pot. You can see this guy has a lot of roots. It's ready to go. The ulu tree was a little bit young, but look, already at the soil level here. Thread your fingers through, make sure it gets well situated, and the tree is planted. Look how easy that was. So you can see the smaller tree was a lot easier to plant. It didn't take nearly as much material or digging down into the mulch. It works with large potted plants as well as these smaller ones. But I encourage you to think about going smaller. It'll not only save you money, it'll save you time, it'll save you material, and it'll probably get a quicker jump start than any bigger tree that you'll plant around here. So I hope I was able to establish a whole new paradigm for how you plant your trees in rocky soil. And once again, if you're interested to learn more about installing a complete food forest system, I made a video covering just that. I really encourage you to check it out. And once again, thanks for coming to check out this video. Till next time, a hui ho.